Hey there, the Joy fam. Welcome back to our What If Deku Was Born with a Quirk journey. I'm really excited to share this alternate story with you today and explore how everything changes when Deku is born with his own power. Before we begin, I want to let you know that this entire video is using an AI voice. You see, I have autism, and sometimes, it can be difficult for me to speak clearly. But don't worry, I'll be using this AI voice until I can talk clearly on my own. I still write the scripts, I still create the stories, and this channel is still 100% me. The AI voice just helps me bring everything to life more clearly. From now on, I'll be doing a shout out to a subscriber who supported the channel on the same day of this recording. I'll also be giving a shout out to the first person who leaves a like on this video and comments down below, I left a like. Today's shout out goes to @GraysonJamescuber. Thank you so much for your support, it truly means a lot and I appreciate you being part of the Joy fam. Now, let's dive into this epic alternate timeline and see how green and pink flames change the future of heroes. Thanks for your support, the Joy fam, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome content, from What If stories and Gacha life, to texting stories, music, life stories, and gaming. Until next time, stay powerful.
About it. The fire itself seemed to calm him. It suppressed his emotional spikes, smoothing What if Izuku Midoriya wasn't quirkless? What if instead of inheriting power, he was born with one, a quirk unlike any other, a fire that burned green and pink, a flame that grew stronger with emotion, and a mind that grew calmer until it snapped? This is what if Deku was born with the quirk. In a world where nearly everyone is born with superpowers known as quirks, Izuku Midoriya was not powerless from the moment he was 4 years old. His life changed forever. The doctor looked at the small bow, studied the scans carefully, and smiled. Izuku Midoriya had a quirk, not a weak one, not an invisible one, but something rare, something beautiful, something dangerous. The first time it appeared, it wasn't loud, it wasn't explosive. It began as a small breath. A soft stream of fire escaped his lips, but it wasn't red or orange. It was green and pink. The two colors twisted together like living energy, swirling in harmony instead of clashing. Emerald heat and neon rose flame fused into something that didn't feel wild. It felt controlled. His quirk was named Green and Pink Fire, an emitter-type ability that allowed him to breathe by colored flames, flames that reacted to his emotions. The calmer he was, the more precise and stable the fire burned. But the angrier he became, the hotter and more powerful it grew. And yet, there was something strange about it. The fire itself seemed to calm him. It suppressed his emotional spikes, smoothing out fear, anxiety, and frustration. Izuku became naturally composed, thoughtful, analytical, but the suppression came at a cost. Anger didn't disappear. It built up, like pressure inside a sealed furnace. Growing up alongside Katsuki, Bakugo was different now. Izuku wasn't quirkless, he wasn't weak, but Bakugo still believed he was destined to stand above everyone. Explosion was flashy, loud, dominant. Izuku's flames were quiet, measured, controlled, and that quiet strength made Bakugo uneasy. He didn't bully Izuku for being powerless anymore. Instead, he pushed him because he felt threatened. Because every time Izuku stayed calm, while flames swirled gently around him, it felt like silent confidence. One day, Bakugo pushed too far. The insult dug deeper than usual. Something cracked inside Izuku's calm mind, and for the first time, the pressure released. His flames erupted outward, brighter than ever before. The green sharpened like cutting light. The pink flared violently. The ground beneath them scorched. It wasn't chaotic. It was focused. Bakugo stared in shock. For the first time, he understood something terrifying. Midoriya's power wasn't loud. It was restrained. and restrained power was far more dangerous. Years later, the sludge villain incident unfolded just like fate intended. Bakugo was captured, suffocating, struggling helplessly. Izuku ran forward, but this time, he wasn't charging in blindly. He analyzed the situation instantly. The villain's composition, the moisture content, the heat tolerance. He inhaled deeply and exhaled controlled, spiraling fire. Green precision flames evaporated moisture, while pink heat destabilized the sludge's structure. The villain screamed as steam exploded outward. And then, just as the situation escalated, All Might arrived. The symbol of peace defeated the villain with overwhelming strength. But what caught his attention wasn't the battle. It was the bull. The bull who ran in to save someone who had never treated him kindly. The bull whose fire was calm even in chaos. Later, Izuku asked the question that had haunted him since childhood. Can someone like me become a hero? All Might smiled, not with pity, but with pride. You already are one. But this time, there was no immediate transfer of power, no inheritance. Instead, All Might told him to grow stronger, to master what was already his. And so Izuku trained. He refined his flames. He learned to separate the green and pink properties. The green became precision heat, capable of cutting or melting with accuracy. The pink became explosive force, raw combustion. He developed techniques naturally. A focused burst of condensed fire, a rotating shield of spiraling flame, a dual-mode state that balanced defense and offense. But the most dangerous form remained locked behind emotion. Positive combustion, the state trigger when anger overcame suppression. When Izuku entered the UA high school entrance exam, he didn't break his body like in another timeline. He moved efficiently, calculating robot weak points, conserving stamina, scoring consistently high. Then the zero-pointer appeared. Massive. Overwhelming. Ochako Uraraka was trapped beneath rubble. For a moment, Izuku felt the pressure building again. The calm suppression faltered. Fear twisted into anger. Not wild rage, focused anger. The flames around him shifted. The pink intensified. The green sharpened. Heat skyrocketed. He launched forward and unleashed positive combustion, overdrive. The flames penetrated the zero-pointer's structure, melting it from the inside out. Metal warped. Systems failed. The giant machine collapsed. Silence filled the battlefield. Izuku Midoriya had passed. At UA, things were different. Bakugo could no longer dismiss him. Izuku's power wasn't borrowed. It wasn't temporary. It was his. During the battle trial, when they faced each other as opponents, Bakugo attacked relentlessly. Explosions filled the building. Izuku dodged calmly. But when Bakugo shouted that Izuku was looking down on him, something inside shifted. The built-up pressure released once more. The flames surged violently, merging into a near-white core where green and pink fused completely. For the first time, Bakugo felt outmatched. Not humiliated, but surpassed. Izuku won the match with controlled force, proving he could balance power with strategy. Then came the attack at the USJ. Villains flooded the facility. Chaos spread everywhere. Izuku protected his classmates, moving with maturity beyond his years. His flames burned through threats without collateral damage. When the Nomu appeared, even his enhanced fire wasn't enough to overpower it completely. He fought, pushed, strained. But in the end, All Might delivered the final blow. And in the shadows, Tomura Shigaraki observed. He noticed the fire, not just its power, but its restraint. It felt like something waiting to explode. After the battle, All Might approached Izuku again. He could have offered one for all. He could have passed the torch. But Izuku looked at his own hands, watching green and pink flames swirl gently around his fingers. "This power is mine," he said quietly. "I want to see how far I can go with it." All Might smiled. In a world where he might have been powerless, Izuku Midoriya was born with fire. Not just flames, but a furnace of emotion. A calm surface hiding explosive potential. And this time, the future wasn't inherited. It was forged in green and pink fire. After the attack at the USJ, something changed inside Izuku Midoriya. Not fear, not doubt, awareness. He had felt his limits against the Nomu. He had felt what true overwhelming power looked like. When All Might stepped forward, and for the first time, Izuku understood something clearly. His flames were strong, but they were still restrained. The pressure inside him was growing. The UA Sports Festival approached, and the entire nation turned its eyes toward UA High School. For most students, this was a stage to prove themselves. For Izuku, it was something else. It was a test of control. During the obstacle race, he moved with calm precision. He didn't rely on reckless bursts of power. Instead, he used thin streams of green flame to cut through debris and controlled pink propulsion to leap across falling platforms. He conserved energy while others exhausted themselves. When the massive landmine field stretched before him, he did something different. Instead of triggering explosions, he exhaled a controlled wave of green heat, just strong enough to destabilize the mines without detonating them violently. The ground became safe, and he crossed efficiently. He finished near the top. In the cavalry battle, his composure made him a reliable leader. His flames formed rotating barriers around his team, shielding them from incoming attacks. The pink hue flickered whenever opponents pressed too hard, but he never fully lost control. Then came the one-on-one matches. When he faced Shoto Todoroki, the arena fell silent. Todoroki unleashed ice immediately, massive glaciers rising toward the sky. Izuku didn't panic. He narrowed his breathing. Green fire sharpened to surgical heat, slicing through ice walls instead of blasting them apart. Steam filled the stadium, but Todoroki refused to use his left side, the fire side. Izuku saw it. He understood it, and something inside him stirred. He knew what it meant to suppress something powerful. He knew what it meant to hold back. "Your fire isn't a curse," Izuku said calmly, even as frost crept across the battlefield. "It's yours." Todoroki hesitated. That hesitation gave Izuku an opening, but instead of finishing the fight immediately, he pushed harder. He let his own anger rise, not rage, but conviction. Pink intensified. Heat skyrocketed. The flames around him spiraled violently, forcing Todoroki to finally unleash his fire. For a brief moment, red flames clashed with green and pink. The collision shook the stadium. In the end, Todoroki advanced but barely, and the crowd realized something undeniable. Izuku Midoriya was no side character. He was a contender. After the festival, hero internships began. Positive combustion, full release. Muscular was blasted backward with heat, so intense it burned through reinforced muscle fibers. The villain collapsed. When the flames faded, Izuku fell to one knee, breathing heavily. That level of output came with consequences. Exhaustion, internal heat damage. He realized then that mastering his quirk wasn't just about power, it was about balance. Then came the Kamino incident. When All Might faced All for One, Izuku watched from afar, powerless to interfere meaningfully in a battle of legends. As All Might's final embers faded, Izuku felt something new. Not anger, resolve. He understood now. He wasn't meant to inherit a symbol. He was meant to become his own. After All Might's retirement, UA entered a new era. Izuku trained relentlessly, refining positive combustion into controlled stages. Instead of one overwhelming release, Stage 1 increased temperature and speed. Stage 2, full body aura ignition. Stage 3, core fusion state where green and pink became blinding white. By the time the provisional license exam arrived, Izuku was no longer the uncertain boy from middle school. He moved like a seasoned combatant. His flames were no longer reactions. They were decisions. And somewhere in the shadows, Shigaraki watched as his own plans evolved. Because fire spreads, and Izuku Midoriya was becoming a wildfire the world could not ignore. The world grew darker after All Might's fall. Crime rose, villains became bolder, and Izuku Midoriya felt the weight of it. He was no longer just a student chasing a dream. He was a developing pillar in a cracking society. Every time he saw fear in civilians' eyes, the pressure inside him tightened. His flames flickered more frequently now, reacting not only to anger but to responsibility. When the Shihasekai investigation began, Izuku entered unfamiliar territory. Overhaul, a villain who dismantled and reconstructed matter with a touch. During the raid, chaos erupted in narrow corridors. Explosions of debris. Screams. Quirks clashing violently in enclosed space. And then he saw her, airy, small, terrified, broken. Something inside Izuku shifted. Not rage, not fury, something deeper, protective instinct. When Overhaul fused into his monstrous final form, twisting flesh and stone into towering horror, Izuku didn't hesitate. Green flames cut through debris with surgical precision. Pink bursts launched him upward. But Overhaul adapted, reconstructing faster than Izuku could destroy. Then Ares' power activated. Rewind. Energy spiraled around Izuku's body. For a moment, something unprecedented happened. His internal heat damage reversed. The strain vanished. And for the first time, he released everything. Positive combustion did not stop at stage 3. Green and pink fused completely, forming radiant white fire edged with neon streaks. His entire body ignited in controlled brilliance. The air itself distorted around him. This was not rage. This was conviction without restraint. He moved faster than Overhaul could perceive. Every strike melted reconstructed matter before it fully formed. Every breath of flame erased regeneration at the molecular level. Overhaul fell, and as the flames faded, Izuku realized something profound. His quirk was not fueled solely by anger. It was fueled by intensity of emotion. Anger made it explosive, but compassion made it limitless. After that day, rumors spread. There was a student at UA whose fire burned white. Then came the rise of the Paranormal Liberation Front. Shigaraki had evolved, enhanced, empowered, transformed into something terrifying. When war erupted between heroes and villains, Izuku stood on a battlefield unlike anything he had ever imagined. The sky darkened with decay. Entire city blocks crumbled to dust beneath Shigaraki's touch. Izuku charged forward without hesitation. Green flames shot outward, forming barriers to prevent decay from spreading. Pink bursts propelled him across collapsing terrain. He reached Shigaraki in seconds. Their clash shook the earth. Decay met flame. Destruction met combustion. Shigaraki adapted quickly, regenerating. Through immense damage, Izuku escalated. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. The white core ignited again, but this time, it flickered. The pressure was unstable. Shigaraki grinned. "You're holding something back." He was right. Izuku had always feared losing himself completely to the pressure. But as heroes fell around him, as Bakugo was struck protecting him, as the battlefield burned, the final seal broke. For the first time in his life, Izuku stopped suppressing his emotions. Not just anger, all of it. Fear, love, pain, hope. Every suppressed feeling surged at once. His flames transformed. Green and pink no longer fused into white. They expanded outward into a radiant spectrum, like aurora fire dancing across his entire body. The heat was immeasurable, yet it did not scorch allies. It curved around them instinctively. This was no longer positive combustion. This was emotional singularity. In this state, his flames were no longer fueled by spikes of anger. They were fueled by full acceptance of emotion. Shigaraki lunged forward, decay spreading like a wave. Izuku inhaled and exhaled a beam of prismatic fire so intense it split the battlefield in two. The decay halted. Regeneration slowed. For the first time, Shigaraki felt resistance he could not immediately overcome. Their fight lasted minutes that felt like eternity. But emotional singularity consumed immense stamina. Izuku's vision blurred. His aura flickered. In the end, the battle paused. Not because one defeated the other fully, but because both sides reached their limits. The war changed society forever, and Izuku Midoriya was no longer seen as a student. He was seen as a symbol, but not a symbol of peace like All Might. A symbol of controlled power. Years passed. Training intensified. Control deepened. He refined emotional singularity into something sustainable. No longer a desperate release but a mastered state. Green represented logic. Pink represented passion. Together, they formed balance. On the final battlefield against Shigaraki, and all for one combined. Izuku stood without hesitation. He did not inherit one for all. He did not borrow greatness. He forged his own. When the final clash erupted, his flames painted the sky an impossible color. Green and pink streaked across clouds like living lightning. Heat rivaled the sun itself, yet never harmed the innocent below. In the final moment, Izuku did not scream. He did not rage. He smiled, and released everything in one focused, controlled breath. The villains fell. The war ended. And as smoke cleared, a new era began. Izuku Midoriya stood at its center not because he was chosen, but because he chose to grow. In another world, he might have been quirkless. In this one, he was born with fire, a calm flame hiding explosive strength, a furnace of emotion that, once mastered, became light instead of destruction. And from that day forward, whenever villains,